Back speaking with Neil Young this morning from Elixir Energy. Neil, good morning.
Good morning, always a pleasure. And we've been talking quite a bit recently, which is, and generally on very good news. So that's very pleasing.
Well, it's always a good sign and certainly good news this morning. A big milestone, a major development here for Daydream 2. The first flow of gas here from the deep coals in the Taroom Trough. Of course, this was one of the key objectives for Daydream 2.
Absolutely. We can't even underestimate how significant this is. Now, it's long been known that there are many trillions of cubic feet in the deep coals in the Taroom Trough. No one has ever tried to stimulate and flow them before. That was a very important part of our program. And how we designed this well was to stimulate as a last stimulated zone, a coal zone, with a plug between that and the lower zones which we previously stimulated. We've now flowed this by itself, and our plan was to get any flow of gas would start to convert the very large prospective resources into contingent resources, which is a massive step change in de-risking and very exciting for us, for the overall play, and hopefully for Australia.
And you say, of course, this hasn't been done before. These are the deepest coals to have flowed gas to surface in Australia.
That's certainly our understanding. There have been some deep coals investigated in the Cooper Basin, but they are not as deep as these ones. They're not as well located. They're not as good in terms of CO2 or heat. So this is a first in Australia, and we don't know where it ranks in the world, but we think it'll be pretty high up there too. So it's a massive tribute to the sort of technical team a small company can assemble, to have the guts to go for this, to deliver it pretty quickly and at a fairly modest cost in oil and gas terms.
Neil, just for those who don't perhaps understand the significance, what's the importance of conversion here of these prospective to contingent resources? What does that mean?
So prospective resources are ones that have been identified in theory. Contingent resources are ones that have been identified in practice, with the key difference being flowing gas to surface, which we've achieved. As you see, we've got a flare there. This is gas that has flowed through 3,700 meters of water without any artificial lift. This gas wants to come to the surface. It shows that the stimulation process was effective, and so that is a significant de-risking step.
So you'll now be looking to do a flow test from all zones together, will you?
Yeah, well, we're commencing a process of milling out all the plugs that connect to separate 6 stimulated zones. That should finish over the weekend, and then we'll commence a flow testing process of the whole package. Now, that might take a few weeks to clean up because of stimulation fluid to come back. We'll need to manage this carefully. We don't want to give an exact date because we'll need to react to circumstances. But hopefully within a few weeks' time, we'll have a total flow rate, and we are highly confident that that will look pretty good and really go a long way towards bringing in the very high caliber large parties that we've been talking to for a while and have been waiting for this moment for.
Remind us, Neil, what's the economic threshold? What makes this project viable?
So what we stated before is 2.5 million cubic feet per day initial stabilized flow rate will make this economic, given the excellent gas pricing in the region, the superb access to market, given proximity to pipelines, etc. So it's a pretty low bar given those factors, which we believe, based on what we've already announced from the lowest zone, we're pretty much there. Everything else is icing on the cake. And one point to note is we've only stimulated about 20% of the total pay here. In the future, there's a scope to do a lot more. This is the start of a play that will have hundreds of wells drilled, massive amounts of brain power applied to it, learnings developed, and there's an awful lot of gas here, and Australia needs it, and we're doing our bit to help.
And so once you've flow tested the whole package, as you say, does that mean Elixir's effectively met its commitments for the license?
Correct. This is a large license. It had an effect as its essential commitment to drill and stimulate a deep well. At the end of this, we will have done so. There's a process in Queensland of then converting an exploration license into a retention license, which gives tenure over many, many years. But obviously, we'll be working pretty hard to start converting at least parts of it into production licenses, hopefully with the help of a very benevolent and large and rich partner.
And would you expect, provided these conversations with partners go successfully, would future wells be funded by a partner?
That is certainly the plan, and the degree of that funding in terms of how many wells, etc., will really depend upon competition between the large players and the case that we make as to the upside for them. And this discovery that we've made now in the Coles really increases that upside. This is, in our license alone, a multi-TCF recoverable gas play. The big guys like to only move when it's material, and that's material by anybody's measure.
You made an interesting comment, Neil, the last time you and I spoke. I brought up the subject of offtake. You said it's a bit early. Just remind us
Yeah.
about your thinking on this.
I think if a junior strikes an offtake contract early, it's usually with a big buyer. Usually you're at a disadvantage and you do it because you're a bit desperate. If you have the ability to wait, which we do, then you don't need to do that. You can come in and with a large player on your side, negotiate a much more advantageous terms. You're not cutting off options for that large player, and therefore you'll do a better deal with them and for you going forward.
Hey, look, big update, Neil. Great to see you and thanks for your time.
Thank you.